So they had this thing called a Hitodama. That wasn't the name of the Pokemon. That was the name of like the little spirits that like turn into little blue fires, and they accompany this little ghost. And it was supposed to be in Gen 2. But what's really interesting is this, and there's another Pokemon that literally looks like a I can't even remember what kind of Pokemon, what kind of animal it is. It kind of looks like a little raccoon, basically. And if anybody's ever played Pocky and Rocky, if anybody knows exactly where I'm going with this, I wouldn't be surprised that Pocky and Rocky also kind of inspired Pokemon in a way. I think Seiyo was her name in Japanese, but Rocky was still his name. But anyways, it was basically like no, it was like a tanuki. That's what it was, little raccoon tanuki. But basically, what's really interesting is if you've ever played Pocky and Rocky, it's actually kind of a cute series. They actually made another one not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken. So there's like 4 games altogether. But basically, the way the series goes is you play as a shrine maiden who's like supposed to like investigate like unbalanced supernatural disasters that go on in like the shrines and all that. So she obviously watches over them, and it's really interesting because you can play them on. One of them's on MAME, the emulator. Then there's also the other 2 that are on the Super Famicom and the Super Nintendo. They are both in English, I do believe, as well. So, or all 3 of them are at some point. But it's interesting, though, because it was made by, I think it was, trying to remember what company that was. I always forget. I think it was like the same company that made, it was the same company that made Harvest Moon, if I remember correctly. But anyways, they made it that like some of the characters that are based on it were also based on some of the old mythologies in Japan and all that, and a lot of it also has a lot to do with it like the Japanese name was like Kiki, Kai Kiki or something like that, Kiki Kai. It's either one or the other. You can find videos on my channel if you search for it. I got videos of it if you want to take a look and see what I'm getting at if you've never played the series. But it's an interesting one though. They do have the it's hard to get physical copies too, if I remember correctly. The game's kind of rare, and people don't sell it right away because it's, a lot of people like the series. So I just think it's really interesting how they made that series, because not too many people actually got a chance to play it. Not too many people got a chance to also really see, like, but it did inspire like Satoshi Tajiri in a way, I do believe, because he did say he went to the arcades a lot, and I do believe that, this was right around the time when that series kind of came out, but it had been out for a while too. It was like, I think 1993-ish, 1994. So I wouldn't be surprised that, you give it a few years and people play it one time and it settles on there. Because people in Japan obviously love their culture, and, Kiki Kai was a game that was very Japanese based, very Asian based. So, I wouldn't be surprised that, they took influence based on that. So, but neither one of these Pokemon were actually in the final version. I can't remember off the top of my head if we ever had any Shrine Ghost Pokemon aside from the possessed ones that I can think of, as well as not even just Ghastly either. But like, again, there are some Pokemon, there are different types of Pokemon that we haven't even gotten, that we're still trying to figure out like what Pokemon they really are. Shrine ghosts and whatnot. And some of them, and you'd be surprised, there's so many different kinds of spirits, like in Asian mythology, all across the board. China, Japan, Korea, Mongolia, sorry. Just to name a few. There's so many of them, and it's absolutely mind-blowing how they've managed to keep track of all these over the years. The ones that I usually see the most are the ones that I often pop in with a lot. Are you usually got like cursed dolls or sealed shrines or some kind of like just ominous spores hanging around a specific area, depending on who that person might have been or what it might have been. A lost soul or energy, or maybe just a demon from like a supernatural realm. That's usually the most common ghost you'll encounter in Japanese mythology. usually one hanging around a specific area, and you know, depending on how it died, it metamorphed itself and went insane because it couldn't find the light, so it basically just got corrupted by dark forces and whatnot, usually. So yeah, so as far as Pokemon goes, and as far as Kiki Kai goes, I believe that's the influence they wanted to take with the series. So yeah, they definitely took a lot of inspiration from a lot of other games, and they just kind of put their own version into it because it's like a universal thing, you know. So, you know, it makes sense because when you're out traveling, you never know what you're gonna find. You're gonna learn something new. You're gonna obviously there's things out that we don't see that are probably right in front of us because our eyesight can't pick them up. It's different forms of energy, you know, and everything happens in a specific way. But like we have to prove it with science first to be able to call it a fact, though, because just because we don't understand it doesn't mean it doesn't happen, you know. But what is true and false in a reality that can endlessly amuse you, you know what I mean? So again, you know, subscribe if you're not. But I'll tell you this though, if I find something else, I'll make more videos about it. So this is just kind of something I figure I'd share, and hopefully you enjoyed it.